Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Happy Hour Gamedev, the only happy hour show where we dev some games. I had something for this. I'm sorry. I had something for this. Unfortunately, I'm your host for this week, Community Manager Jared Huckaby. With us this week, we have some special guests, some esteemed colleagues here from our LA studio. We have senior producer, Mr. Eric Kieron Davis.
Hello.
And director of technical content himself, the man who needs no introduction, Mr. Sean Tracy.
Hi.
How you doing, Sean?
Doing well. Sorry, it's like
behind you.
way over my
She's
shoulder.
like, I'm never gonna have to talk to Jared.
No,
this
I
whole
was
show.
trying to angle it so that I was just trying to angle it so that I don't blind anyone with.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Now, admittedly, this show is going to be mostly you guys. I anticipate being here in Peanut Gallery this week because we are doing something. Well, we've never done it on a live stream. And I don't think anybody has ever
I don't think anybody's done this
if
on
you
a
know
live stream.
Anybody that's ever
Yeah.
done a live stream about what we're going to do a live stream about today, you let us know. We are going to build a schedule live in front of the backers and with your input. Yes, we will have a number of votes throughout the broadcast where you get to influence the design decisions to create a brand new feature, a theoretical feature. There's no guarantee that this feature will go in the game by any means. We're just going to explore some processes and show you a little more behind the scenes about all the considerations and thought that go into something like this. Now, Eric?
Yeah.
This is definitely your field more than my field. So
Sure.
So I understand that you had a topic. I haven't heard the topic. They won't tell me what the topic.
I'm not going to announce the topic. Sean is, but we're going to first start by saying kind of what Jared said. We're going to do this hypothetically with you, kind of walking through the process, seeing how we would do this. But any scheduling of any kind is multiple phases, and this first phase is kind of like the first step where a member of our production staff or a production staff works with a lead or a director of whatever the feature is or whatever the asset is or whatever the aspect is, whatever it is. And they get together and they start the initial planning phase. And that's what we're going to do live. We're not going to take this all the way to the next step and then the next step and the next step because there's several steps. So this will be the first one we do with you guys. We're going to need your input. In this scenario, you're going to be our game director. So Sean is not, we'll enjoy this, but you're going to make some design decisions for us on the feature that we pick because that will decide ultimately where the schedule goes, right?
Yeah.
As you'd expect, the simpler it is, probably the faster we can get in. The more complicated it is, the longer it takes. So we'll go through those processes together. We'll walk through it. We're going to have fun. We're also going to answer some questions that will have nothing to do with this. If you just have any other questions, please let us know. That's going to be a part of this conversation. We'll talk about the scheduling video that's went up. That's kind of the impetus to this. We had the schedule video that went out last Friday. And so, we're just going to kind of have some fun. So I think, Sean, if you'd like to, tell them what exactly the feature request was. It starts generally with a feature request, and then we start going down the pipeline.
Yes, I'm very hesitant. He wouldn't tell me. He wouldn't tell me what are we doing. I'm a little afraid.
So I mean, okay. When Eric mentioned that we were going to do this video, you asked if I would come on and help out, and there was one very big caveat to the whole thing, and that's that the feature we make needs to be a feature that I really want and that I think would be fun to actually put together. So, drum roll, space whales. So we're gonna write a schedule to implement space whales. How exactly that would go?
Yep.
How long it's gonna take? How many teams that it involves?
Yep.
And really to give everyone an idea of like. Yeah, it's cool to come up with really great ideas, but you've got to be able to, put that idea down on paper. You've got to be able to work out exactly how you're going to do the thing, and then just get an idea of how long it's going to take. And then is there anything you can do whilst you are not just designing the feature, but designing exactly what it's going to do, that you can save some time on, cost some time on, and the reasoning why some stuff doesn't appear in the schedule, because I think in the end we might try to show you how we would work this into the schedule, and then you guys will have a very, very good idea about what would have to push, what would have to not get done to make this happen.
Yeah, and Sean mentioned at the beginning, because Jared asked me, hey, do you want to build a schedule? And I could not wait to get down and build a schedule. But I wanted to point out, and the reason I asked Sean to do this is because this is a team effort between production and the creative partner of whatever discipline it is. A producer does not go off and just make a magical schedule because they know everything. A more educated and more experienced producer will use that experience from previous games or previous features, or if it's when they used to be an artist, so they use that art knowledge of Photoshop and that helps them, understand what what the schedule will be, but ultimately it's not the producer that creates that information. They're just helping put the schedule together with their creative partner, and then ultimately tracking it and try to deliver out on a certain date or whenever our expectation was set. So this is how all features start. Are you ready? You're going to be so excited because I'm going to replace this beautiful image with what I look at all day. That's it right there. This is how every feature, every asset. Don't start.
I know. I know. I've made the joke too many times.
There are producers out there, I'm hoping, I'll see questions, that want to do this for a living, and this is where we start in a lot of places. Some people start in projects, some people start in Excel, some people start on a Word document. It just happens to be one of the things I'm the absolute worst at, by far, and that's why I rely on very experienced. He's not too bad at this. But what to mention about that, there are a lot of unknowns when you're doing something new and fresh and groundbreaking, and so sometimes you got to figure it out, which is challenging and sometimes frustrating even for us because we want to get it right off the bat. It doesn't always work. So what do you think? Should we start? Let's start. Okay. So the first thing literally we will write is space whale. Now the first question though, go ahead, is it space whales or space whale?
Yes. Now is it that's really the question. Does this have to be a singular space whale? Or is it, let's call it a pod? Would space whales be in pod? Would that be a flock or a pod? Or we'll let the community sort of come up with that.
We're going to do single, duo,
because if it's one,
and pod.
It's a lot easier.
Yes, just space whale. Space whale or space whales, because that will have different implications on what features we decide to put on this thing. This is kind of more
so
do we? Yeah.
So we have started up a new poll, guys. You'll see it in the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
Pod, of course.
Is it space whale or space whales?
Of course. Okay. This is Star Citizen.
Okay.
I mean, we don't do anything in singular.
We're going to do an S. And before we start, and I really want to ask this question for you guys, when do you want to see space whale pods in? Right now. Make that decision. I want to see that in chat. When do they want to see space whales in Star Citizen? Tell me right now. That's what I want to hear.
Oh, well, I can only do one question.
No. They could just say it in here. I want dates. We don't need to do. So as we get started, I want you guys to think about when you want it in. Do you want it 3.0? Let's say that's the date we're going for. Let's say 3.0 or whatever you guys decide. Right now, ASAP. Great. That's where we're going to start.
Now he's in now.
Okay, let's start breaking it down.
Yesterday.
All right. So whether or not it's singular or plural, the first step of this is obviously the game design. So we're going to have to put game design in place here. Do we want to separate it out per discipline?
Yeah, we should. Yes, we should.
That's probably the best way.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
And usually, depending on the schedule, right? You might just be writing a schedule within the one department or writing a feature within one department. But we already know right out of the gate, space whales is going to affect a lot of different departments.
Yep.
For sure.
That's right.
So, so we've got the design portion. High-level design brief is definitely the first thing. And as we go through this, because we're going to ask a couple of these design questions, even though we're not getting a high-level design brief from this, we're going to have to know some basics to what we want to have happen. So,
Well, I can tell you it's definitely a pod of whales, definitively.
Okay, good.
So in this case, do we want to get through, we're going to put all the tasks down first, and then you want to bid them after?
You got it. So generally we'll understand what the tasks are needed per discipline. After we understand that, we'll bid out how long it'll take. Once we bid it out, then we assign resources to it. Then we level those resources and we understand when they can impact and where they'll impact. And then from there, we decide, do we need more resources, less resources? Should we trim this design down? Should we add more to it? Where are we at? So, yeah, we'll just start. Those are all the tasks it's going to take to make space whales. And as you asked, I put pod in parentheses.
Pod?
So we're going for a large amount.
Somebody said fleet.
Well, that could be.
Fleet is
That's
cool.
essentially the same idea, a space whale fleet. Sure, why not?
It's more spacey.
Okay, so we got the design brief. There's always reviews.
Yes,
right?
Review of that design brief, because ultimately, we all work for Chris after all, and we like to get him to review any of these at the very least on a very high level, because it'd be, Chris, do you want, big space whales in your game?
That's right.
Do you want space whales? Does it make sense for the vision that is Star Citizen?
That's right. No, Jared says no.
And to me,
absolutely.
No. Oh,
right. Jared, he does.
Yeah.
He'll see where we're going. He does. Okay, so design, we have to get the design brief. There's obviously a review process, whether that's the technical team, the animation team. Everybody has to have a hand in that design brief
to
understand the impacts it'll have.
Yeah, no, and that's a really good point, and we have to do that on every one of the tasks that come, every one of the designs that come through. There needs to be a technical review on top of the design, because a good designer isn't and this is real important for all the designers out there. A good designer isn't somebody that just has the best ideas, because here's the thing that we have to realize is that everything is possible. Everything is possible, given enough time, given enough money, given enough effort, right? Everything's possible. But just coming up with a perfect design that covers every single thing. It doesn't necessarily make it an easy thing to implement it at all,
Right.
or even possible for that matter. So doing a good design is designing within a confine, designing within a system, or designing within some limitation, restrictions, something that's going to save everyone time across, the immensity of all the tasks that are going to be created out of this.
Great.
So it's just a really important thing for designers to know, not a matter of just going and spouting out a whole bunch of ideas. You want to spout out ideas that have some sort of context to the technology you use.
Totally.
Right?
So in this case, we're going to start with a high-level design brief. We're not going to do a full, deep game design document. And
Right.
we're going to act as if it's right now. We know what tech we have. We know what engine we're using.
Yep.
Right? When you first start a product and you don't have any of those answers, that will completely dictate what you decide you want to do, right? Like if you're going, I want to make a game about X, well, what engine do you want to use? That'll dictate what features automatically come in or don't.
Sure.
Do you want to start from the ground up? Do you not? Right. So we're going to act as if it's today. We know what we
Yes.
have. We're vendor production. We understand what tech we have. And
Absolutely.
we're going to build from here.
And
Okay.
teams and resources and all that kind of stuff.
That's
because
right. That's right.
That's also other things.
Okay, so that's design.
So design. I mean, next is obviously art.
Yep.
Obviously. I mean, not obviously necessarily, but we will need art for
Generally,
space whales.
generally.
Unless we want, programmer debug text space whale.
Yep.
ASCII. Oh, that'd be funny,
Like the
right?
Matrix?
If he just made like a little ASCII whale and he's
That's good,
whatever,
and
just
that's
moving
good.
around. Okay, so some actual art here, and the first step of the art is going to be concept, obviously.
Yep.
I keep saying
So a
obviously
question we
because
have
it's
though,
obvious.
question point, Jared, is this? Are you able to? And we would answer this design question, but since you're our game design director here, is it the interior as well as the exterior? Can you go inside?
Oh,
space
now we're
whales?
talking.
Or is
Now
it
we're
just
talking.
exterior?
Because, space whales is one thing, but you guys know that we've got some pretty cool tech within Star Citizen that, we basically fly levels around or whatever with interior, physics grids and these kind of things. So, I'm assuming that a space whale is going to be pretty big, right? So it's going to be probably 100 meters or something like this. Who knows, right?
Now, it's important to note that most people would just say, oh, well, let's do both, obviously. But that means it's going to take longer. It's going to
Absolutely.
take more resources.
Absolutely.
And other features that they
Okay.
want
Absolutely.
might not come
That's absolutely right.
as soon
Yep,
as
that's
they do
true.
both.
That's absolutely right. So if it's an exterior, it's one thing. If we have this whole interior experience, it's another thing.
Should we figure out how big they are first or do the interior thing?
Well, we're already voting for interior.
We're doing
exterior
exterior.
now.
Oh,
right now.
okay. I bet you I know where they're going.
Regardless, we're going to need concept. Let's keep going.
There's some Pinocchios.
Because
in
we
there,
because
I
we
know
obviously
it.
need a new art asset we have not created yet, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay,
So we know we need the concept,
this
whether
is-
or not
this
it's
is a-
100 meters or 2 meters. Or
Totally, and this is a pretty general, as discussed, pipeline within art or within 3D creation of now. This is
Totally.
There's a new magic here per se, but the art will have implications across engineering, animation, skinning. There's a lot of things they have to consider depending on what game or what it looks like. So
Right.
concept's the first step, and then we go into
So concept, we'll do concept, and then it's going to go to high poly right away.
okay.
And then after that, we got to do the game res, or we sometimes just call it the low poly, or the in-game model,
I think-
or
yeah, we-
however you want to say it.
Is this a character?
That's a good question, actually. And in terms of the technical implementation, and this is why it makes sense to be sitting down with somebody on the tech side. Yes, this would be a character, I would think.
sure.
You're going to want to make this a skinned mesh.
Sure.
Because he's going to need to deform. He can't really animate like a ship. A whale doesn't have landing gear. He's not rigid body. His tail doesn't move around like a robot tail
Yeah,
or
sure,
anything like
sure,
this.
sure,
So
sure.
it's going to have to be.
If it
skinned
was a
character.
robot space whale, then we
Cyber
A
Space
robo
whale.
space whale. That's
Sure.
next time.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that on the next one. Okay. So what's after in game?
In-game model, and after the in-game model, you're going to make LODs for that guy.
Okay.
Thankfully, on the character, that'll be pretty fast thing. You need then after the LODs, and you might even do this concurrently, texturing materials.
Okay.
And a reminder to folks watching on Twitch, in order to vote, you do need to be on Twitch to vote. That's where the votes are being tallied. And, of course, you only need to vote once. It does not count multiple votes.
It should.
But but both is a runaway.
I really want interior.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
Oh,
is a
both?
runaway.
Of course
Yeah,
it is.
We had
Of
12
cour-
people.
of
12
course
people
it is.
voted interior only.
No, man,
Oh,
I
good.
knew it.
12
This is-
people.
Interior only.
12 people voted interior only.
Interesting.
Wait,
So
interior
it would have to
only?
be
That's like
inside
a-
of a planet. It's a cave then.
Well, that's like a burger without the bun.
You wouldn't have to see the outside at all.
weird.
No, I just wanted to put the option.
It would be
Interior only.
Why would you do that?
No.
Okay. After texturing.
No.
Well, no, that it'd be.
It is definitely a both.
Okay.
Okay.
It's-
So we got concept, high poly model, in-game model, LODs, textures, materials. Variants. There's gonna have to be what?
I'm sorry, I just thought about variants.
Variants of space whales. Yeah,
Yes.
right. I mean, They're all not,
racing whale.
well, they're not all clones of
not
each
a-
other,
not
right?
that
I have
kind
a-
of
an
variant.
info runner whale.
Well, think of it more, and this maybe this is a question we should ask. Do you guys want? I know what the answer is going to be on the variants, which we will likely probably want to create because there's not just one space whale in the universe, right? Maybe.
Of course
I don't know.
not.
That's in the design brief.
Well, I think we're doing pods, right? So,
Yeah,
so
we're doing a pod,
there's
yeah.
at least going to be a mama and a baby.
Sure. And are
right?
those color only? Is that just a texture change, or are there
that's a good
geo
question.
implications? Is the baby come with 2 dolphin wings? I don't know. Make 2
Dolphin
things. Right?
wings.
That's stupid. Or is it just a color change? Right? Color variations or texture change.
Yeah, and I mean,
you guys
tints,
tell us.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind, tints are easy, so that'll be quick, just color change. But as soon as we talk about actually changing, like the normals, the masking, like really how it looks, other than just sort of color tints, it's going to cost a lot more time.
So I have space whale variants. 1 for skin and texture only. 2 for geometry changes.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay.
yeah,
And the
good
last
point. And
the last
geo
the last step per all of these generally is a review. We always want to make sure. In
Yep,
our reviews.
definitely, and it's pretty much the same as that that last design step there. We get a technical lead or directors within there talking about the feature, and again, it's really about finding low-hanging fruit, slight changes that you can make to design to make implementation easier or faster.
Totally.
And generally just make life easier for everyone.
Yeah. Make the life. All right, what's after art?
So for me, the easiest to go to after art is tech art. Most of my guys there. So the first thing we'd probably want to do with this is a little bit of R&D. So we do some R&D of the space whale implementation. So we would likely get something like a big ass box. We'd get the volume. We'd get the size we actually want to do. We'd skin it up to just a very simple rig. So rigging would be next. But it's kind of part of the R&D process, I would say.
You mentioned R&D, and that's important because there's nothing in Star Citizen now that could give it. Is there anything?
There's
in
nothing
Star
like
Citizen
that. No.
That could
that would give us
educate
a
us.
head-
No,
that
and
would
that's
give us
why
a
I
head
put the
start?
R&D phase within there. There's nothing like it at all. The closest thing would be a shopkeeper, actually, in terms of the technical
Character.
implementation
Yeah,
is easily the closest. It's the shopkeeper. It's in the PU. It's seen in multiplayer. It's all synced. It does AI. It animates.
Totally.
Yeah, and it deforms. So I mean, it's very much the same.
Cool. So rigging,
Very
skinning,
much the same. You heard it here. Space whale shopkeeper.
pretty much. the same.
Okay, so we've got rigging, we've got skinning. The next step, maybe we'll put some simulation on the thing. I mean, it really depends what the concept ends up as, but we'll probably want some level of physical simulation. One of the biggest reasons is not just to simulate for the sake of simulating. Usually what it's about getting is like secondary motion in the animation.
Right.
So, somebody might animate the space whale, and we'll get to animation, I'm sure, soon, moving up and down or whatever.
Yep.
But maybe want to simulate in between his tail. Like, I'm just thinking of an actual, ocean whale. Sure. Maybe he's got a big tail and it's going to move around. But you don't want to have to counter animate that whole thing. So just let it physically simulate. But then again, he's in 0G, so is there really that much simulate?
Totally.
Anyways, yeah.
Which would all be answered in our design doc. Generally.
This vote is much, much closer. People are starting to see the feature creep. People
Yeah,
people
they're
are starting
feeling it. I
to
can
realize,
tell.
oh, this is going to take forever if we
Good,
keep
good,
asking
good,
for
good.
everything.
Awesome. So we're tied. We're tied.
We're pretty close. Right
So
now,
we're
skin
pretty
and
close?
texture is skin and texture is ahead.
Okay.
A little reason is winning out.
Skin and texture, but that's the cheaper one.
That is?
Yep, cheaper in terms of time.
Faster, yeah, and project management, right? Time, money, all those things.
The triangle.
Yeah, exactly, the triangle, the perfecta. You can't have all three. Sadly.
All right, so we're
That's
going to close that
but
with skin and
it
texture.
is asked.
we try. We try.
Yes.
So
it
skin and
is
texture
asked.
only on
So
that one.
kids- okay.
That's
so color
awesome.
only.
So just tints. Yeah, that's good.
As a production employee, thank you for that reason. So we'll do color only.
And as a connoisseur of space whale, I'm disappointed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
This is
Hey,
just
I
the first
want-
That's
implementation.
pretty fun,
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, there you go. This is version 1.
This is
or
version
tier
1 of
0.
Space Whale.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, tier. Well, do you want to explain the tiers
Not yet.
since we're halfway? Oh,
Yeah, we're
well,
not there yet.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. What's next in tech art?
Simulation, we're probably going to
Anything
do... well, we've got to do the technical setup. It's going to need... because of the new character system, we're going to do items. We'll make it a loadout. That's funny, a whale loadout. So, yeah, it'll be the technical setup in the game itself. So we put the loadout and the items together. And we'll have to create a structure for that. And we're probably never going to customize it.
I have a question from chat.
Yeah.
It might be a little early.
Sure.
I don't know
Yeah,
if we're
sure.
there yet.
No worries.
Will the space whale have damage states?
Oh, we're going to get
we
there,
haven't
I
gotten there
think. We're going to have to talk about that
That's a
because that's in the
question.
VFX
And
sort of
that's,
side
and
of
that's a
it.
question.
No,
We should ask. We should ask everybody else. All right, let's go.
Actually, yeah.
Let's
Let's
ask
do it now?
ask our designers.
Our game director here. The camera. Let's look at the camera.
Oh, that's
You.
our game director. Hello, game
That's kind
director.
of above us. That's all right. That's
Right.
about.
We're supposed to look really tired when we talk to game director. Game director, do you really Do you really want this feature?
All right, here we go.
I haven't seen
right.
my kid.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
Data-driven. It's data-driven. Okay. After tech, anything else in tech art?
Well, the reviews. I like to get a review on, especially the R&D that we're doing.
And this is just,
almost
I
every
assume
time.
it's tech art, so we don't need technical, but lead.
Yeah,
director,
lead and director.
whoever's
So
in
it might be one of the tech art leads, depending on the pipeline.
Okay.
Yeah. Next, for me, anyways, is tech design. I think we should go into.
Yeah, sure.
So let's break down what the tech designers would have to do.
And I want to quickly interject here. Sean is representing all of our disciplines that are watching that work here, as well as everyone out there. I would not have gone to Sean for every single task. He's just helping me through this exercise. I would, go to Josh potentially if it's a character. I would go to Lee for audio. We'd go to Mike and his team, right? So everybody would be involved globally on their individual discipline. We're just again doing this for exercise purpose, so you can see kind of how the breakdown would be.
Yes, it's a little microcosm.
Yeah, we're just working here together.
And to be fair, sometimes it's okay to have another department, but do the entirety of it. But as long as you get review on
Yeah,
it.
totally, absolutely.
That's the worst feeling ever, to have somebody do your bid. Like where it gets really bad is if somebody does your bids.
Yeah,
for you.
sure, for
Because if somebody was bidding out, the tech art or tech animation task, I wouldn't be very happy about that.
Totally.
At all.
They may not know the newest tech that came online to make something simpler
Totally.
for you. They might not know you have one of your resources opening up.
Sure.
Who's a more senior employee that can really crank through it in a half day as opposed to a 5-day task.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Okay. What in tech design? What are we doing?
Okay, so we've already got space implementation, rigging, skinning, simulation. I mean, of course, the space whale is going to have AI. It's going to need AI. It's not really a player-controlled space whale, which could be another thing we talked about.
Behavior.
So AI behaviors, which will require a subsumption setup. So it's kind of the same.
Okay.
Subsumption setup.
Okay.
Item 2.0 components. So the items that TechArt may have created, is there any components in balance that have to be added? Obviously, it's going to need health. It's going to need... Well, at the very least, health.
Yeah,
So it's going to need a health component. It might need physics components. So again, they'll decide on those gameplay variables.
Well, it needs health if it's going to have some kind of activity. If it's just a static object,
Sure,
right.
Sure, but
It's a prop
I'm pretty sure
as
we're not.
opposed to an interactive.
Unless we want it in, in a week or two,
Sure.
we're going to do something a little more than just a static guy.
The damage state votes was an overwhelming yes.
Yes,
Of course
okay,
it was.
absolutely, okay. So we will definitely add damage states.
Oh, I just have these gross visions in my head of just
I'm
splody
gonna
whales.
say you're going to need health if you're going to
splody
have damage
space
states.
whales.
Yep. If our director asks for that, we got to do it in. Okay, what else is in tech design?
Right, and it wouldn't be the weirdest thing he's asked for.
Nope.
Space worms.
And by he, I mean the camera.
Oh,
here.
yeah, our
This
game
is our
director. Yes, yeah, of course.
That's the game director, man.
Yeah, the camera here. Okay.
They're gonna actually have to. They'll have to implement it in the level. That could just be. It could also be the level designers doing that.
Okay.
But a lot of times, tech design will come in and drop the stuff in for them. So we won't really make a distinction here between tech and level design necessarily.
Sure. Okay.
So. This is a funny one because this is what tech design does a lot, and so we've decided now we have an interior.
Yes, they put an interior and exterior.
Okay, so
right.
if we have an
Oh.
interior,
How are
and
you going to-
depending on the size, you're going to be able to get out and be inside the whale.
How do you enter your space whale?
Sure.
Well, that's a question, and it's not really for tech design, but what tech design would have to mark up after you got inside of a space whale would be possible cover points, hide points. Because, I mean, if you're going to go in a space whale,
It should be an FPS level.
you're going to want to fight inside of space whale, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, no, and then, yeah, you get that Star Wars moment, right?
Absolutely.
Shoot the ground,
Come on.
whoa, right?
Totally.
Oh,
I
what
don't
a
think this
party.
astro is
What a
entirely
great
stable.
feature. What a
right.
great feature. That could be a game by itself.
That's right.
Cool. And then, okay, depending on the AI behavior, probably going to need some markup in the system. So in the star system, we're probably going to want the guy moving, probably the guy. We're going to want the space whale flying around, doing space whaley things.
Okay.
But we probably don't want him on a planet or in a space station or going through there. So we're going to need some markup. Basically, it's the equivalent of AI nav.
Okay.
So let's just do, I guess, star system markup or something to this effect.
Okay. All right. Anything else for tech design?
Well, just reviews. Always reviews. Always schedule in time for those reviews, because otherwise, then here's one of the frustrating things from a leadership standpoint, right? is sometimes so. One of the things you'll feel pinched in these schedules is the reviews. So like you might get an asset from somebody. So for example, I get something with Sim or whatever. I'm reviewing something, and there is times when you're going, can I really turn this down? Can I really send it back for a rework? Even though I'm not happy with it. It definitely should get a rework, but do we really have time to do it?
Sure.
So it puts you in a sticky spot where you're like, actually it doesn't come up to snuff to what I really like, but at the same time, we've got no time to keep reworking it.
Well,
so if you don't schedule that time in, it becomes a problem.
And there's a bunch of ways to do that on the schedule, right? One is you schedule review time appropriately. You stick to that whenever you can, even if things slip later or sooner. The other thing is maybe we can't get to something immediately, but the next version we will shift things around. So as we kind of go through this, sadly, sometimes you have to make cuts, right? If you look at any creative project, movies, even books, some of those massive, you'll watch behind the scenes, they make massive cuts on things that you're like, oh, that would have been cool. But maybe they ran out of time. Maybe they didn't have the right setup for it. Maybe it didn't work within.
Some of the best stuff I've worked on in games, period, actually, it's cut. It never made it,
Totally.
which is a sad fact. But those reviews, that's a real stressful thing to be a lead director and not feel like you can actually send it back to get reworked. Because the worst part is if it gets up to the very top review, the final, Chris takes a look at it and he goes, and he's not going to like it.
Yep.
It's going to screw your schedule because he's still going to send it back because Chris will say, absolutely, it doesn't hit the Star Citizen standard. Let's go back. I mean, well, we have a pedigree. I mean, we have to keep it to a level so that the thing exists. But anyways, not that you guys care about my stresses.
I care about Sean's stresses quite a bit.
Yeah, right.
All right,
it's only because I call you.
After tech design,
Eric, it was such a bad day.
What's coming up?
Just kidding.
Yeah, every day is a great day.
It's another day in paradise every day.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Well, we have our challenges, but they're the challenges we have are unique and they're sometimes fun and they're you have to solve those problems constantly, right?
Yeah.
Part of production.
What's
after tech design?
Okay, so we've got what do we have? Everything we've got art,
interior,
tech design.
Sorry.
We have a fan question that's been going on.
Oh yeah, sure.
Sure.
It's Space Whale versus Sandworm. Who you got?
Whoa, well, we haven't really got to the size of the space whale, actually, and that might be a good question while we're still working through this, is how big the damn thing is, because, the damn thing, I'm letting my actual developer come through here. It's oh, damn it, these space whales, but it was my freaking idea in the first place.
And forgets there's a camera.
Yeah, totally. Totally, it just
like,
gets
I only do this in your office.
Just gets into scheduling mode. So yeah, we should find out how big the space whale is.
Sure.
And maybe I'll just let's throw out some sizes. I mean, let's do a 10-meter one.
Okay.
Okay, because what I want is one that you could just barely fit in as a human, one that you could walk without crouching in, and then one you could fly in.
All right, so 10 meters.
But we're doing multiples.
Planet size.
So maybe that's planet size. Yeah. I got a funny story about the space worm. Actually, I have an image too.
Give me the sizes, then you can talk.
Let's say 10, 50, or is 50 too big for a ship person? Let's say 10, 25, 100.
Okay.
That escalates quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's do 10, 25, 50,
I don't know.
100.
Yeah, I'm really go big or go home.
All right.
Yeah, no, I was going to say a funny story about the space worm, actually. So when we made it anyway, so the request came in, and my team footed the request right out of the gate. We had to make a rig for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got amazing riggers within here. And John Riggs picked it up. And, I can put this rig together in about a day. And I said, make sure to put scaling onto the rig. That way, the animator can just go in, change the scale that the thing exports at, and all is fine.
Yep.
So we put scale on it. But we had given a placeholder over to the cinematic guys in the first place of that worm. And the placeholder itself was only about 1 meter long. It was like a tiny, it looked like a little poop. Like, it was just, like, it was small. It was tiny, and it was the size of a poop.
Not very scary.
So
scary
not very scary.
Reason.
So basically, they put it in, and they scaled the entity up by about 1,000 times, and then in the rig we had 1,000 times scale. So when they switched it, we switched it on them, right? We just switched the pathing to going to the actual rig and not the placeholder thing. Yeah. But you can see, you can maybe do the math. It was 1,000 times 1,000 scale. So all of a sudden they loaded up the homestead planet, and there's a worm hanging on the side of the planet, and it's an amazing image.
Again,
I mean, it's
scary
really funny
yeah.
because there's this worm eating the planet. It was just basically laying on the planet. It was like a. Anyways.
Wasn't the
Maybe I'll
motion
put the
we were
image on
trying to
Reddit later
achieve,
because
but
actually it was super duper funny.
Totally. All right, let's keep going.
We are halfway through.
We're halfway through, and we just gotten the display
Yeah,
so far.
yeah, I'm already.
That's all right. Okay, what's next? So after tech design, and again, not all these
already
work
tired.
linearly. Some of these could start at different times depending on what their dependency is. But let's keep going. What would the next discipline do? The touch.
So tech design, animation. That is going to be a real important bit here.
Okay.
So animation, as with anything, we need to have locomotion because the thing's going to move around.
Okay.
And locomotion has a lot within it. So, I mean, we could break that task down further if we wanted.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to in this case.
No.
But, it's like the forward, backwards, left, right, turns.
And again, in this phase of the schedule, after we would break this down, or we would work with the individual leadership team, director, then we would take it to the individual working on that aspect and say, what do you need to do? How long would it take you? And we true it up even
So,
further to
we
get
will
another
walk
level.
into Steve's office and say, hey, dude.
Yeah.
So, we got this thing.
We got this.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You want to do what?
Hold on, Steve Bender. Steve Bender.
Bender.
What do you want to do?
Animation director.
What? Yeah, exactly. All right, what else in animation? Anything else?
Well, they talked about damage states, right? So it's probably going to have hit reactions, right? Because we want to shoot the space whale, possibly. Possibly,
It's got damage
if you're
states.
of that type, right? It's going to have to open its mouth, obviously. So there's kind of, let's just call it facial, I guess, facial animation for a space.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really like not like what we call a classical facial animation, but it is,
we gonna
it's an
PCAP
animation
the
of an
whale?
open.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Ask them.
Yeah.
Do they want to PCAP the whale?
I was just thinking at what vendor you could call to get to get a whale mocap suit.
What vendor would answer the phone?
Yeah, that's true.
And then ask if they want Andy Serkis to PCAP it in a way space whale.
Should Andy?
And there is some points in here that space whales don't necessarily need mouths, but I would argue that to get inside it, other than entering from the blowhole.
Potentially the blowhole, some other area. But that's exactly right. If y'all hadn't said that you wanted an interior, right, maybe it wouldn't open its mouth. Maybe it wouldn't do that at all. But we're going inside, so we're going to say it's the mouth.
Yeah,
right
we've
now.
got to get in somehow. Maybe there's whale breaching.
Maybe there's whale breaching.
And not classic whale breaching. Yeah, but whale breaching is usually coming out of the water.
Okay.
But we're
through the
actually
gas
going
cloud.
inside. You get the grip.
Okay, I get it. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. Depending how we want to enter and exit, and depending on what the size is.
Oh, yeah. Do we have an update on size recommendations?
100 meters.
Big.
One,
It's big. All right, we're going in. Well, we already said we had to go in, so that was.
So wait, though, 100 meters, that's flyable.
Yes, it's now as big as a caterpillar.
What's the length of the caterpillar again? 80 something?
Yeah, it's somewhere around that.
Or is it longer with the?
Well, with the make now, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Feel free to
You
ask.
can message Matt.
Make sure you can also ask questions not related.
You could just
to
check
this
the
if you have
website too,
questions
but
about stuff.
let's
We're
not
really
check
not
our
really
own
questions.
website on our live stream. That seems very
It's fine. It's fine.
very pretentious.
It's large. You can go in it. We've already established that. It needs all of its interior stuff, so let's go down that
Sure,
path.
100 meters.
So obviously you need to figure out a way
So
to get in.
enter and exit animations, I would think, but then again, at 100 meters, I don't think we really need those. So actually, just drop the enter exits. There's no reason for it because you're never getting out of your ship and like having to do something as the character to get in, like, you know what I'm saying? Because the guy opens
I
his
see. Because
mouth,
the
right?
animation. I see.
Yeah, yeah.
I see. Okay.
So
all
we
right.
don't really need
Kill that
those
one. All right.
normally. Because I was thinking in terms of a ship, what do I need
Sure,
for a
sure,
ship
sure,
usually?
sure.
We're going to need a death animation.
No.
Then
be able to
again,
kill it.
does it ragdoll? Does it have driven ragdoll? We could probably do that too. So it might not necessarily need a death animation, but I do like to enable ragdoll, like on characters anyways. I do like to see them ragdoll plus animation.
Yeah.
Plus animation because we have that text, so we can
Supplemental, yeah.
blend the two together. So you get a bit of a death animation,
So
and then he goes to
We'll
ragdoll.
pretend it's both.
Cool.
So if we don't need entry and exit animations, are you saying there's only one way to enter the space whale?
That's the facial animation. That's what we're
Well,
saying.
and
It's a facial
that's
task.
kind of a question, right?
What if
It's-
there's more than one way to enter the space
There is only one way. on this
Well, we
live
could
stream
come
today.
in. We could come in from what I was saying was the.
All right,
From the
okay.
Maybe. Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Well, then
avoid
you're gonna
that
have to
whole-
ask that question. Do you want?
It was a
one way
setup.
in
It was
or
a
two-
setup.
No,
It was a
Forget
setup.
You're not answering that
It
one.
was a
All right,
setup.
let's keep going. All right, what after death? What after death?
Awesome. I mean, this is so cool because this.
I never get to be on this
is
side
a
of
job,
the equation.
right?
Yeah.
We need deaths. We need attacks.
attacks. Okay.
Well, are they aggressive? Are they aggressive? Are they an aggressive species? That's
There we
a
go.
really good question.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, and this
gonna
is
put it-
again, this would come into the game design. This would get in the really because it's going to matter for behaviors. It's going to matter for everything.
I'm gonna put italics to wait till we get our answer.
Attacks, yeah. Let's wait. And what's the rules for attack? You might want to make the question something to the effect of, are they
No, I don't. I like this.
are they red? Are they
Passive.
Are they aggro?
at the skull.
Are they passive until you aggro them?
Okay.
Are they
All right. Well, let them answer. What else is an animation?
retreat or like
They probably want to run away.
run
from
away?
you.
Yeah, sure,
and
sure,
start
sure.
Breaching them.
So we got retreat, attack, death, the opening, locomotions, hit reaction. Yeah, that's good. So that's probably it.
Okay.
I mean, off the top of my head,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course,
sure,
if we
of course,
talk to
of
animation
course,
guys, they might say
And then
more.
reviews, of course.
Yeah, reviews. So with Steve Bender, we'll have to add a couple days to that one.
Cool. And do what
I hope
I'm
he's
not
watching.
doing. Please make sure you save your file. Don't.
Ooh.
We were just working
Shouldn't
without
have even got
saving.
this far without that. And that was brave.
Sorry. That's why
We got really
save and
far
save
there
often.
too. That could have been a really bad
It's the most
situation.
important lesson we'll
That's
teach.
the
this
big
hour.
takeaway. Yeah. Okay. All right. What after animation? Anything? Are we done? We're done, right? We don't need anything else.
Oh,
Space Whales?
yeah, audio, and I feel
VFX,
people, people really,
right.
really forget the audio all the time. And including me, I do it all the time because they are so laissez-faire. Those guys, they just make it
They
happen,
rock.
make it awesome.
Yeah. Lead that whole team. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
They're awesome. Okay. What tasks? So
so-
we're gonna just make some generic tasks because we.
Yeah,
there's some
no, and like
complexities with an audio.
I really don't. I was gonna say, yeah, I really don't. If with the audio team too much, I leave them alone. Yeah, see, it wasn't a swear. I used your F thing.
Good job.
Right?
Yeah. Well done. Okay. Keep going. Here we go.
Okay, audio design. He's got to do audio design.
Sure.
He's gonna have to make the actual data, the
Yep.
audio data itself.
Yep. So creation, data, creation.
Yeah, data. Just put data. That's probably fine.
Okay, okay.
Design data.
Okay.
Because they got to know what they want to make. They got to make the thing they want to make, and then they've got to implement, what they want to make,
Okay.
what they made.
And I'm sure there's
then
a
Lee's gonna wanna review that.
process. Yeah. Cool.
I really wonder on the design. That would be a fun sound design, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what does a space whale sound like? And everybody's gonna go, oh, well, no sound in space. Yeah, okay, I know. But
what happens when you're inside
That's
the
not very
whale?
fun, right? It's
Yeah,
not very
they
fun.
have sound
but
inside the whale.
If we're thinking
yeah,
we're
but
already inside.
there would only be sound inside the whale if it breathed air, right? There's all these arguments.
And because we decided to go inside, there's now, like Jared just said, potentially sounds inside.
yeah, sure.
Right?
And there's
is this a
it's going to be a different
fleshy
DSP
creature
effect
that
too
makes
once
all-
you're inside, right?
We have sounds inside of our body. I don't know if people realize that, but if this creature has that, that's more additional design and implementation we have.
Sure.
Okay, cool. VFX?
Yes, VFX definitely. And that's going to where the damage stuff comes into play.
Okay.
So first they have to define the surface type for the space whale. This is
What it sounds like to impact
yeah, and
it.
how it reacts to bullets, how it reacts to physics, how it reacts to anything. If a ship just flies into it, right?
Yep.
Should it act like human flesh? Should it act like Van Duel flesh? Should it act like space station metal? You know, we have a huge library of surface types already, and then we just have to figure out if we ever wanted to make a new one, and then we have to make an effects table to go between them. Once they define the surface types, let's say they made a new one, they're going to have to create effects for it, actually. So create effects.
Create the effects. Like examples?
Like
this for us.
Well, the damage. Maybe if it does end up having a blowhole, it would have some kind of spray out. Maybe it's got some sort of sulfur, methane. Like, oh man, I don't know.
We'll let the
I
narrative
don't know.
team go on that.
Yeah,
That's-
okay,
we'll
perfect.
let them
narrative
define
team,
that.
that's
much.
That's
That's
under the
much better.
design.
Oh,
Those can kind of be combined because design works closely with Dave and the team.
With narrative,
But you're
yeah.
absolutely right. They could be a separate task.
Work
It
it
depends
into
on
the
what
rest
we're
of the
working on.
game, right?
Yeah, but absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. Because if we haven't, generally, again, it starts with the lore, starts with the design. That would
Totally.
inform all of these things. And usually, normally, you have that design document, and you
Right.
do some kind of larger, small kickoff to then decide what you need to do for each of these aspects once it's been approved. So we're kind of moving through this quickly without waiting for that design review.
Yeah,
process.
sure, and there's a lot of subtasks within that design. I mean,
Totally.
it's like what kind of attacks does it have? What,
Totally.
what is its behavior? Is it just lulling about until somebody says something mean or whatever?
Cool.
So,
Okay, cool. All right, what
until
else?
Someone says something mean. You're a fatty space whale.
Does it have feelings?
Yeah.
No, okay,
Does it have?
all right, we're not, okay,
No,
VFX.
okay, no.
Let's keep going.
We're too deep. Oh man. Okay, so create effects. Create FX.
Okay. Wait, did I just have that?
Did you write it?
What happened? Oh, I undid. Working in this. All right, we'll do it again. So damage. We already had that. Damage.
Yeah, damage. Like spray.
Spray.
We're going
internal,
inside of
yep,
it.
spray.
Oh yeah, so we've got a lot for the inside, like
Saliva.
drippy, goopy stuff.
Drippy goop.
A drippy goop. It's a technical term.
It's a technical
the
term?
VFX guys don't understand.
Yeah,
Goopy
they know
hands.
what's going on.
Yeah.
That's actually Mike's term, I think.
Drippy, droopy.
Drippy.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
And then actually implementing the effects. So it's not usually as easy as just dropping the entity
Sure,
in.
sure.
You usually got to hook it up to some sort of either in the loadout or components or whatever.
And then reviews,
And then
yeah.
he's going to have to review it. Yeah.
Yep, make sure to do it. And we're putting reviews on here as a final task. Generally, it happens per task. Every discipline does it differently. It depends on who's on your team, depends
Sure.
on the process that you do on your team. Some of them need a bit more additional help and oversight, depending on how long the person's been here, if they know the system. Or a system could be so new that we're just playing with it and trying stuff, so you got to do those frequent reviews. So it all depends on the pipeline, the ship
And this
pipe.
would be one of those, the
Oh,
latter.
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
'Cause we've never done this. So
Totally.
we're going to be playing around with it. Director's going to try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, does lighting fall under VFX?
We don't. Yes and no. I mean, it depends on where you
Well-
work and what you define it by. But right now, technically, our lighting team works with the environment team.
Is there lights in?
That could some
I
kind
mean,
of
maybe it's heart glows.
bioluminescent- Yeah.
We're gonna have to
Oh,
see somehow.
bioluminescent.
No,
But
but all
that's
the
not
characters.
lighting.
Well, the ships have lights, and the character has lights. So I mean,
Yeah,
you
but
could probably just leave it
Is
dark.
there light? Yeah, I don't think they have lights, Jared.
I think it'd be creepier. I think it'd be creepier if it wasn't.
If it
You have
just
to use your flashlight.
Isn't that scary?
Oh, no,
Because
no,
you're like
no.
inside and you turn and you see a rib. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like
yes, Sean
Somebody
Tracy.
please Photoshop Sean being scared with
By
a
a
rib,
rib.
a mick
Oh,
rib,
I don't
do all
know.
kinds of rib action. Here we go. This is going to be great. All right, here we go.
Oh,
What's
damn.
after VFX?
I knew this was a bad idea.
This is all my fault too. I apologize.
No, it's great. It's
Okay.
fun. Engineering. We totally left
Engineering.
programming out. Usually we start with that one.
Yeah,
but,
totally. And again, that one's defined. All of it's defined by the design or what we're trying to achieve. So we're going to assume, we've got a lot of stuff to do for this because we're at this phase of production. We know exactly what tech we're at right now, and this is where we're starting. So what do we need to add or change, or what needs to be figured out?
and a lot of this will come down to AI engineering, which is some of the trickiest, definitely.
Okay.
So AI pathfinding,
Okay.
because it needs to be able to fly around. It's a lot of similar rules to what the ships would likely be doing, but I think that's actually mapped down onto the character that's flying the ship. So we'd have to,
Okay.
there'll be some stuff to figure out there.
Okay.
AI pathfinding, the behaviors, depending on the design, the AI is going to have to do something.
Okay.
So we've got behaviors,
Okay.
pathfinding. Because it's so big, we're probably going to want to look at some optimization
Okay.
of having a massive. One of the tricks with deforming characters, or when you put a skeleton and you start deforming stuff around, you don't want all these verts to cover the screen. You don't want them so big. That's why games like Shadow of the Colossus and stuff were really cool because they
sure.
were able to do that.
Sure.
So we're probably going to want to look at it like massive character rendering or something like this.
Okay. So we got to figure that out, and that's an optimization.
Well, yeah, and it's more an optimization because I have a very, very sneaky feeling that the first time we ever try to drop this in, the performance is going to crater.
Sure.
Yeah, just based on the size and how many verts you're actually updating and across how many different zones and all this stuff. So,
Okay.
we would have. Okay, we're going inside it. So inside of a space whale, here's a question. So inside of a space whale, is there gravity? Do you stand on the ground? Do you stand on his tongue? Do you stand in his stomach? Is it all 0G inside of a space whale, or would it need a physics grid?
Well, he's asking this question. What would you need to do if they said yes?
Well,
what was the task?
It would be physics grid on skinned or deforming characters. We've never had to put, so everybody's aware, physics grids so far have ever only been done on a certain mesh format or a certain entity type, really. We've never had physics grids on characters because we've never needed a character so large that it would ever need a physics grid or have special gravity or anything like that.
So that's the question, right?
It's already out there.
Hey, I realized we didn't get an answer for it. Does it attack?
It was friendly until you provoke
Provoke it.
Cool.
One.
Okay.
Cool,
So when it
cool.
doesn't run away, it does attack if you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
So it's
that is in.
I do want to remind you, we do have about 20 minutes left. So.
Okay. Right. And,
Yeah, and this is why
this
it takes
isn't
so freaking
far
long.
off from realism, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what you're trying to define, but this takes time because you have to think through every single element. You don't want any gotchas by the time you get done with a pipeline or ready
Sure.
to implement it. Hey, did you realize we totally forgot it? We didn't know it was going to do that?
Even then, you still hit them, right?
Yeah,
you
totally.
still hit them,
Absolutely.
even if you try
Absolutely.
to
Oh,
get
yeah,
away.
we
So it's not
haven't even
perfect
gotten to
science.
the point where we start estimating the
Yeah,
times
that's
yet.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's a little faster. We'll be rolling that one a
Totally.
bit quicker. Like
Yep.
this is actually the longest part.
yeah.
It's literally just defining what you want to
Figuring
do.
out how
Totally.
many people have to work on this thing?
Yeah,
That's
sure,
right.
and all
That's
the
right.
different things you're going to have to do. So if we do physics grids inside, that'll be tricky.
No, it's an overwhelming no at this point.
No.
Right on. Hey, they want 0G inside of a whale.
perfect.
That's good because that
Thank
would have been a
you.
big thing.
How long would that task have probably taken just to
This-
figure it out?
Well, just to figure it out,
Yeah.
20 days.
20 days.
20
Like
days,
one of
one
our
guy,
very
20 man
important
days,
engineers, I guess, right?
It
Yeah.
would be a physics engineer, yeah. So
right. We're
one
now-
of the two very, very highly requested.
We're already cutting.
That's
cutting,
awesome.
ideas.
Well done,
Okay, good job.
community.
It's hard to do. It's always one of the hardest things to do, but it's more about do we get it
I
in?
think
Do
it
we
was easy
implement?
for them.
Do we-
They're
Yeah,
like-
yeah, it's clearly
They're
like, no.
they-
I wouldn't.
actually, they probably thought it was cooler to be in 0G. Because
I
I'm
hadn't
kind
thought
of
about
thinking that too.
Yeah, same.
You just kind of float through
Good
the
job.
intestinal
Good job.
tract.
All right. And then anything else for engineering that we'd have to figure out?
Right out of the gate that I could think of, not really, because
that's it.
again, we're trying to reuse and not do a fresh implementation of a new entity type
Cool.
or anything.
Okay.
So it's a lot of AI,
Cool.
a lot
then-
of AI behavior,
Yep.
and some optimization.
Okay. Last but not least,
Seems about right to me.
with everything, once we're feature complete,
QA.
QA. So bug. Oop, I might italicize because that is not a question thing. We definitely do. We have to make sure we have time for that. And generally, again, we're going to add the task for the end. But this will happen throughout, and it will actually start at a certain point, and then depending.
Yeah,
on
we're gonna do. Are we gonna do
absolutely.
dependencies?
If we
yeah,
got time,
because
we
have
gotta hustle. But that's it.
Yeah, all
That's
right.
not-
Well, let's hustle.
Okay.
Save your work.
So we've got it. Dude, you haven't been. You can't see my hand. I realize I'm control S-ing like a madman. It's a trained behavior. I don't know why it took so long to do it just now. Okay, cool. All right. So the next step is we need to understand a little bit about how long each of these will take. And again, I've put Sean on the spot here. I apologize to him now. He should not bid all of these out because this is not necessarily his
this is a
discipline.
really rude thing to do to another director.
And I apologize, but we're going to do it for this sake. Generally,
that's
we would say, okay, we've got the disciplines. We've worked with each discipline leadership. Then they take that first step and they break each one of these tasks down. Sean's going to do that for all of us. And then we take that, add that to resources, we level it, and we have a good first understanding what it'll take to make this whatever it is we're trying to make.
Right,
So-
right, and you'll explain the leveling thing a
Yep,
little bit
yep.
because that was something that was new to me.
Totally.
Doing any of the project management stuff.
Totally.
and
All right, so let's do it.
It's important.
Okay, so how long does a high-level design brief take?
3 days.
3 days. We're going to
Yeah,
give it 3
yeah.
days.
I know these ones pretty quick. Reviews half day.
Half day? Okay, 0.5.
Yeah. So apologies if this is a little boring because we're going to be now just rattling through
Totally.
how long does all this stuff take?
Totally.
How long does this stuff take? And also, I did see the message that we will try to get an image of that massive
Whale
worm.
or worm on them.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure that we can do it while we're doing the live stream, but maybe I'll
If
post it on Reddit.
Somebody
after the
finds
fact.
it, yeah, sends it to me. Or a Spectrum. We'll post it on Spectrum.
I put it on the things we've seen page. You know, that page that I maintain.
Nice. I see. Okay.
Would Vinny be able to find that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's on Confluence.
Vinny be able to find it on Confluence. Just tell him it's on the bug page, the things we've seen page. By the way, I maintain a page within CIG. It's a very fun page, and any new staff that goes there, I point them at this one in the very first, and it has the best visual bugs that we've had, and they are just awful
And sometimes
scary.
And sometimes not just us. It's from you guys, right? Some of the stuff
Oh,
they've
yeah,
seen.
tons
it's
of
great.
times.
It's
Yeah,
stuff that
man.
it inspires us and invokes us every day to keep working.
No,
harder.
and we can't give you a link to the page. Obviously, it's on our internal Confluence, and to be fair, I'm not sure I'd ever want to share a lot of that stuff because it's awful.
maybe in the behind the scenes one day in the
Sure.
future.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
and
we'll do
one
that.
of these ATVs or something. Once the game's all set,
an art book.
Well,
An
honestly, I
unart
wanted
book.
an unart book, and that I want to make
made
that
that up.
book, but I want to get other companies. Anyways,
Publish that. We'll see. Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Let's get through this first. All right, so
cool.
So
Let's
we've
get
got we've got a defined design. We know we're going in and out. That's different, right? With in and out, we have now the concepts inside and externally.
Yes,
Okay,
and
so we
it's
got a
more
concept without.
modeling. So that's a longer concept phase.
Yep.
Originally, I would have probably said 5, but since we're doing an interior, that's pretty weird, and we've never done organic, and we haven't done organic, creatures
Yeah,
much.
yeah, on the inside of
So
them.
let's give it 10 days.
Cool.
I mean,
Sounds good. 10 days.
I know that sounds long for a drawing, but it's not one drawing. It's like multiple drawings. We're doing multiple different whales. We're going to have baby whales. We're going to have big whales.
Yep.
So the high poly model, let's give them 20.
Okay. Okay. That's
What?
good.
So I'm looking for that.
Oh,
image
you're
on the
looking through the
things.
page
Yeah,
now?
I'm
There's
looking
some
for the
awesome
image.
stuff on there.
Yeah. All right. In-game model. So we've got the 20 days on the high poly model.
Okay, 20 days.
And
on the
again,
high
inside and
poly.
out, exterior and exterior.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's even enough for the interior, but let's call it 20 days and call that a day on that one. In-game model.
Okay.
Normally that'd be 5. Since it's interior too, let's say 10.
Okay. So we decided to do interior and exterior, and we're already seeing on the art side it doubles our bids.
Yeah, it's doubling the bids.
Yeah. Okay, let's go LODs because we got an LOD.
Half day. We've automated that, and half day is even aggressive.
Awesome.
Or
That's
not
great.
aggressive, rather.
What was it 3 or 4 years ago?
A week. I mean, it took time, a lot of time. It was super manual for all the artists, and before, Tech Content put some tools in place.
That's
it was
incredible.
pretty
Yeah,
awful.
It's incredible.
Workflow.
Awesome.
Texturing materials. Again, there's some weird materials that are going to be inside. So let's say 10 days.
Nice. And then we're doing color variants only. We're not doing geo
color
changes.
only. So that's pretty cheap.
Okay.
I mean, that's not going to take as much time at all. Let's say, depending on how many variants.
Well,
we
let's
want.
ask. How many variants do you guys want to see? Is this color only because it's like a day variant maybe? Like that's only exterior.
Yeah,
What's
and
the
that's a pretty general rule, a day per variant. That way they do the variant, they can get it reviewed in that whole process of 1 day. So they do the tints and then
Cool. So how many variants do y'all want to see? We're putting up the thing right now.
and
I'll come back and add a bit to that.
it's about 1 day per, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Give them the choice between 1 through 5.
Cool.
Okay, that was nice of you.
They
That was nice of you. That was very producery of you. Provide limitations. All right.
Yeah.
And then reviews again
2.
per just 2 in general. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 in general.
Okay, cool. All right.
R&D, and these are the R&D tests are the worst to estimate because you just don't know. Because you don't know what you don't know, and that sucks.
Yeah.
But the idea is with R&D, you find out what you don't know.
Totally.
So
Which
at
could
the end of it,
speed
you know
up-
what you don't know.
Which could speed up some other things later.
Yes.
So
I'm going to bid that one. I put my best guy on it, so 10 days.
10 days. And did you hear that? Sean's now referring to resources.
Yeah.
That is a big part of these schedules. If you have all your people are the most senior people ever in the world, that might change the bids. If they're all brand new to this type of tech, that will also change the bids. Right? So it depends on who you bring in, who you hire, and what you're trying to do on your team. There's a lot of things. That's why when I talk about production, or right now, going through this, I was going to end with a poke. I have 2 production roles open, so please head to the website and apply. But one of our...
I just realized I realized what you're up to.
It all came together. It all came together. No, but that is a big part of the decision making, right? They're resources, but
you're
they're also
training
people.
them. That's what you're doing. You're training them already.
And then we'll at the end we'll give them a task. Make now space worms, and then send that.
I like to think I'm a pretty smart guy, but man, that is just next level stuff.
All right, we're gonna rig. Let's keep going. But R&D, I guess to your point too. Sometimes you don't know. Every project I've ever worked on, when there's an R&D element, it's so I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Totally.
In my best guess, you break it down as many tasks you can, and I'm thinking 25, 10 days maybe.
Yeah.
And then you get going. You might save. Generally, you don't save.
Yeah,
Because there's
generally
a lot
it
of
costs
things
more.
you hit. But the more you spend in R&D, generally the better it is for the pipeline. You've figured out all those bugs if you do it right.
Yeah.
All right. Rigging. keep
Rigging, he's not too. That's not too bad. 7.
7 days.
Looks like 5.
Yeah, it's between 5 and 10, so I just go 7.
5 variants.
5 variants. Okay.
Yeah, a whole family.
Yep.
That
Sure.
makes sense.
Although 3 had a respectable showing.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
That was nice. So, but that was good. All right,
That was people going, oh, I don't want to cost too much time. or-
Yeah,
And
sure.
Which
then
is
the other
which is
people
an
were like-
important consideration.
You're having a-
Yes, and I'm glad that they're even thinking that
Because
way.
not only are we scheduling out people, you said I'm my best guy, so many days.
Yeah.
But this is all assuming they're not working on other things.
That's right.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right. And
we'll
get to that in
that.
just. We got what? 10 minutes left.
Well, we're on overtime right now, so
Okay,
We're
let's.
already overtime.
yeah, we're already in overtime.
Guys, it took an hour to just get one
The
feature
task.
scheduled,
Yep,
and
okay.
it's probably because we're bullshitting. Or,
We are
We are-
also, but it isn't very far off. There's a lot of things you have to figure out, and this is realistic. We don't get to just go into a closet and do a schedule, right? We're working on things. We all have teams. We're all busy. Things are happening.
Yeah.
People come and interrupt you. They're right. There's a lot of stuff. going on
sure,
that you have to
family
do.
life,
Yeah,
or
sure.
or car broke, or
That's right. That's
brakes
right.
need
That's
doing.
right. Okay, skinning.
He's pretty easy too. Yeah. Again, I'm just assuming the concept's fairly straightforward. So 5 days.
5 days. All right. Sim?
Oh, that's a lot. Like that's a really hefty
All right,
skinning job.
Let's bring it down a little bit.
We've got some nice tools. Let's say 3.
Let's do 3 days. Okay. Great. Sim?
1 to 2. Let's say 2.
Okay.
Tech setup. Yeah, so loadout and items, actually, that's probably pretty straightforward. Oh, wait, though. No, because it's a character thing. Okay. Yeah. It's because we don't know what the results of that R&D are. So let's say 10, just in case there's some big things we could save maybe in there.
Okay.
2 days review.
Okay. All right, tech design. Set up for AI behaviors and subsumption. Because this also makes it work with the interact.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Thanks, Skype. That's Scott.
We're busy, Scott.
We're busy, Scott. We're a little busy.
Just a couple minutes.
I might be on Skype on here. All right, let's keep going. And that's realistic. We'd be in the middle of a schedule, and I get a call about something else.
Yeah, and then something totally different.
Yep, totally.
Are you checking what he wants?
No.
It's so like automatic.
Hey, I'm busy.
to you.
I'm busy.
Yeah. Okay, so AI behaviors, tech design, 5 to 10. So I guess let's just go in the middle.
7.5.
Yeah, but again, this is like, yeah, there's dependencies.
Yeah,
In there. Okay,
yeah.
we'll do the dependencies after because that has to come after the engineering.
Okay.
Item 2.0 components. This is 5.
5 days. Implementation.
Let's say 3 on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, 3. Cover points, they're pretty quick to mark up, but we can do between 1 and 3. Let's say 3 in the hardest case.
Okay.
Star system markup, that's a question mark. Just because we don't necessarily know what the markup is, so 5.
Okay. And then reviews.
2.
2 days. Animation.
Animation, locomotion. Again, they fly around. They do just locomotion, right?
Yep. Just locomotion.
I just get basic locomotion, like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Hit reactions. They're tricky. Hit reactions is a lot of testing too.
Yep.
So 8 on that one.
Okay.
And that I probably underbid the locomotion and probably overbid the hit reaction. So hopefully
they'll balance out.
They kind of balance.
Totally.
For the facial 2.
Okay.
Death 2. Yeah, all these other ones are 2 because they're single clips.
Okay.
And again, this is like super nice to give them 2 full days.
Yeah, totally.
For a singular thing, but the thing is so big, and it'll be important that it looks right.
And we're somewhat bidding out the first one, right? And that's the difference.
It's
like
a brand new thing with no existing systems. That
Right.
After we get that first one in, and we have a lot of unknowns solved, this conversation is, well, in the past, it's only taken us 2. I think we bring that down to 1, and that's a very different discussion.
Sure.
And the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the faster you can rock and roll.
Definitely. So 2.
2. Okay.
That's Steve. Give him 3.
Steve.
I hope he's watching.
I want to make sure he has time.
I'm just teasing him.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
He's a lot harsher on reviews than a lot of us. He only
Audio?
demands the very best.
Yeah.
Audio. So design 3.
Okay.
Data 5.
Okay.
Implementation. Again, these are. Oh man.
Yeah.
I feel so bad doing because I know I just want to
we
call
love
him
you.
right
I know.
now.
We would just call Lee in this situation.
So 3 on implementation and then review. Let's give him 2.
we're gonna get an email from Lee Banyard.
Yeah, he's like.
Yeah, he's gonna go. Are you kidding me?
That's fine. Hey,
It
if I
would
get an
take
email,
at least.
yeah.
That, for sure. I'm gonna get off this.
All right, we're gonna pretend to be Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
and his team.
So if he's got my good old buddy Caleb Essex doing it, he's gonna do it nice and quick. So 1.
Okay.
Ooh, that's really. Yeah, that's always.
It's aggressive.
Yeah, that's super
I
aggressive.
like it.
Create the effects. Well, defining a surface type takes like no time.
Okay.
Creating the effects takes the time.
Yeah.
So let's
First
say 3
pass,
to
second
5.
pass,
So
final pass, reviews.
let's give him a good 5 days on that one.
Okay.
And then the implementation, let's give 2 to 3.
Okay.
Only because there's going to be interchange between them and the implementers.
Okay.
So, and then reviews, yeah, right, we got an interior, so that changes those.
Yes, it does.
So let's just double that one.
Okay.
Let's go to 7.
Okay.
This one to 5.
Okay.
And 2.
2 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on the engineering front, these are the really long ones, right? So, and not because they're slow, because it's very hard. And AI pathfinding is not easy, 20 at least.
Okay.
And that's probably underbidding it too.
Sure.
Then behaviors another 20.
Okay.
Yeah, right, because That's like, I mean, that's a solid month. That's a man month, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah. Okay.
That's a man month.
It's a man month.
Person month.
A naked male month.
Yeah.
I said it one time.
All right. Massive. Jeez. Massive character rendering optimization.
Yeah, that's an unknown. I don't really know. It'd be an R&D, a bit of R&D optimization. So let's, I don't know, 10.
Start with 10.
Solid
That
10.
could fluctuate and likely will.
Yeah, right, and it really depends.
And then bug testing in general. Again, this happens throughout, but we'll just give it a generic number to start when it comes to first start.
Yeah, 10. I mean, does that even make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it will for now, and then we'd obviously do bug testing.
Yeah,
as
it's more
long-
of a
further
question.
along.
It depends how many bugs are found. Okay, so now we get to the really fun part.
Do you want to do predecessor resource at the same time so we can hustle? Otherwise, we go back and round.
What are we
again.
actually? Yeah. Let's.
Okay.
Well, it almost makes more. Okay. Let's do
Lightning round.
resource names first, and then predecessor.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, because it's pretty fast, right? We're just gonna say designer 1, designer or lead. Yep. Lead designer 1.
Okay. Concept.
Concept artist. High poly character artist. In-game model character artist 1, same guy.
Now, is that the same one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
LEDs can either go to tech art or character art. So since we put it in art here, let's just say character artist 1, same guy.
Okay.
Texture material, same guy.
Okay.
Variant, same guy. And then
All
review.
5? Could we split those out?
Yeah, we can split those out to different guys.
So right now we're
that
going to
would
leave
make
it
more
on
sense.
1, but potentially we could break that out into 5 artists if we've got the depending. But again, it would put
Yeah,
them
if
off
we
on
got
their
the
task.
resources,
Sure.
definitely.
Okay.
Then that can save some time.
Lead character artist or director. This situation we're just going to use lead, but it could be Josh if it's for characters, or right. And then obviously Chris is the also reviewer right on this as well. It's all bundled into all of our bids generally.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, R&D. So just say tech artist 1. And you know who you are. No, they don't, actually.
No, they don't.
They have no idea. They're all tech artist 1.
Okay. Wow.
And
me.
tech animator.
Sorry, that's going to bother me.
Sometimes called it's auto-filling it for you. Hold on. Now go back
No,
to
forget it. Forget it. Just keep going.
No, it's going to bug me too. Okay, forget it. Because you're about to copy-paste it to a bunch of other things.
I am. Okay. Rigging.
Oh, no. Tech animator.
Tech animator.
Rigging and skinning is
Same one.
crosses over. Yep,
Oops.
sure.
Okay.
I really like to have the same guy rigging and skinning it because
Sim?
he knows what to do. Tech artist.
Same one.
Same one as the R&D. Yeah, probably because he'll know how it works.
Okay.
Then the technical setup, tech artist 1.
Okay.
And review. Yep. So it'd be.
Yep.
One of my leads are tech design. Tech designer 1. Yeah, I think same one through actually all of it except cover points. That would probably be 2. That'd be somebody else. I'd almost want, I think that would make sense to just have 2 guys on it. Sort of one guy dealing with the exterior stuff, one guy dealing with the interior stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Animator 1. And actually, you know what? Yeah, none of these are so long. And yeah, let's do animator 1 through the whole thing.
Okay.
Except for the review, obviously.
Okay.
A lot of dead air in doing this.
It's all right. No, this is the part that's
Just to remind people, this started as this.
Nice.
Is that nice? I meta?
Yeah, that was great.
Jared, that's good.
It's awesome. Great.
All right.
The audio. Well,
Steve Bender is
Steve
giving
Bender
oh, he
walked in
was
here.
watching.
Steve
I
Bender
knew
walked
he
in here and
was.
said that there should be 2
Did
people
you
working on
see
this.
that I pumped up your review times, Steve?
All right. Let's keep going.
Okay, we're almost there, guys.
we go.
We're in OT.
We're going to leave it on 1 for now just to show it, and then we'll add the second one.
Oh yeah.
But again, we would
you were
get-
saying used to.
we would bring Steve in here and look
See?
at his resources.
You
and
see
make sure
how
it's all
bad
mapped
it
out.
is to bid for another direct.
Yeah, you don't do it.
It was even on a theoretical feature.
We just didn't want to bring in every
He
lead
felt-
and director
he-
to do
he
a piece.
felt
Okay, go.
enough encroached upon.
Okay.
Encroached.
That's the
Anyways,
sign that's
audio designer. And we have. It's important to know the roles. There's audio designers, audio engineers, and yeah. So, and the second one is audio designer.
Yep.
Implementation could be the audio engineer, but it might be the audio designer. I'm not really sure.
That's okay. Let's go with that.
So then, and then, yeah, the lead.
Lead. Just lead. Lead audio.
Mm-hmm.
Lead. All right. Define surface type.
VFX 1, I think all the same.
Okay.
I mean, the defined surface type, too, could be text design if we need. Oh,
Sure,
sorry.
sure.
I'm actually
Yeah.
really just trying to save time.
That's
now.
fine. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Cool. Okay. And then engineering. This is a problem. Just because we've got that's easily the hardest resources to manage, just because the requests are all over the place.
Yeah.
So this should probably be the same one.
Yeah. For pathfinding. What about optimization?
Yeah, I would hate to take up 2 AI programmers. Is the thing I realize is a lot of time though.
Sure.
So, but you can't exactly do the behaviors without the pathfinding. So they're dependent upon each other, and thus you can't really split the resources or split the task to 2 resources.
Totally.
And then the graphics programmer for that one, or engine programmer for that matter.
Cool. And then
We
be
removed
mixed up.
the interior grids because that was what
Yeah.
was going to need. And I was
Zero G.
I was already thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, we got an engine programmer need,
right.
so we better tell them about 2 years ahead of time.
Okay,
otherwise.
and last up before you get your final date of when we would like to, based on this schedule,
Right.
achieve
So
to
do
get
you want to
space
explain
wells.
like what they're seeing maybe on the right hand side, like
Yeah,
what this is now?
Yeah, the left side is the individual disciplines plus their tasks. Now with the first step of bids before we take it to the next level, and individual resources. I didn't put names to this because it's more about understanding who needs to do what. This would obviously
right.
internally, if I had Steve here, he would tell me exactly which person would work on it, or Uzi, or one of the team members that understands who their teammates are. And then from there, we can take the next step of going, if we split out these tasks, like this isn't possible, but if we split this variant task, which you heard us already talking about, into 5 additional character artists, right, we could trim that down and save some time.
Right,
but
right.
we also need to make sure they have time to jump on that task because they may be working on other characters.
Exactly. So it's all about dependencies. So that's why you see this all starting at the same time, going at the same time.
Totally.
So this is like best case scenario. If everybody could start today.
Yep.
And do their stuff without ever talking to anybody else or each other.
Yep.
That would be the best case. So in the absolute best case, what's absolute best case? It's not even a reality case.
Well, the
tend not
latest
to
date
even care about
is
it.
May 18th, starting today. May
Okay,
18th.
and that's if everybody can start together, and they can. We already said there's dependencies,
right.
so that's the next step.
So last step is predecessors. Do any of these tasks have to happen before the next task can happen?
Tons of them.
So let's start. So the starting one is we decided, we got it from our game director, we're going to do space whale. We make our
So
design
obviously you
brief.
can't review until the design brief's done, so that's 3.
Okay.
And so you guys know what we're doing. I'm just going to be saying the numbers, but we're saying what the cell is dependent on, basically. The column, rather.
Yep, that's right.
Row.
Yes, row. All right. Art.
All right.
Art can't start until that design review's done. Right?
That's correct. So 4. And then a high poly can't start until concept, so 5. 5. Or no, you're right. Sorry. My bad.
That's okay.
The in-game model can't start until the concept.
This is my
so
favorite
7.
part, by the way.
Yep.
And then the texture material can't start until the in-game
about
model.
LODs?
Oh, we're on LODs. I'm sorry. So 8. Texturing materials, really, they can start after. They don't need LODs. They need in-game model, though. So that's
also
going to be 8.
Okay.
And then variants obviously need the original texture material, so that's 10. And then reviews obviously have to wait till it's all done.
At the end.
So, yeah, we just use the last.
And again, sometimes you'll generally do reviews per step, but we're going to simplify this a little bit to keep this going.
Now, what are the 3 fields that have red people?
Right now, our character artist, because I have not leveled out resources, is overbooked. This person is working at the same time on everything.
On different tasks.
On different tasks. So we're going to level that resource.
So it's called a resource conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I know that word from
Good job, Steve. All right. Tech art, when can R&D start?
Today. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
I'm just kidding. It can't start today.
After the design review, the final design review, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that R&D can start immediately after that first
And
design.
you see that ties it here, right? So even though this task is later, it doesn't have to go after all the art tests. It starts right after this design test. That's what Project tried to show you.
Right.
Is where its dependencies are.
Right. And then rigging it'll probably happen during the R&D a little bit, but real rigging has to rely on the in-game model, so that's 8.
Okay.
Then the skinning will rely on the rigging.
Okay.
So
15.
15.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds
Not confusing
right.
at all.
The simulation needs skinning, so 16. And then the tech setup needs all that stuff.
Okay. 17, and then review again. If we were to go down the chain, 18.
Exactly.
Okay, tech design. When can that start? When can the AI behavior setup begin?
Well, that has to. This is the bad one. So that one depends on those 2 engineering tasks.
Ah, okay.
So and actually, it's not the first one, but the second one.
Okay, so it's gonna
47.
Okay, that one can't start until engineering's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then item 2.0 components. I mean, that can start as soon as the implementation has begun.
Okay.
Well, they're back and
flipped.
forth.
Sure.
But we have tech setup. Sorry. So item 2.0 components can be done after the tech artists do the tech setup, so it's 18.
Okay.
And then implementation can begin after item 2.0 components. So 22. Cover points can begin once the interior is modeled.
So this would be broken out further, right, between high poly external versus internal.
External,
right? That's how we do a lot
yeah,
of our
I mean,
shifts.
since we're already over time, we don't have to keep
so
doing this.
We'll just do after in game.
So yeah, cover points is gonna be. Oh, I'm sorry, but no, cover points need. I was trying to think whether they need the AI pathfinding.
Do they need AI?
Actually, no, I don't think so. The cover points for characters, not really inside. So it just needs the tech setup done. Implementation. 23. Star system markup, that's another bad one where it has to, the markup can't happen until you know your pathfinding. So it's actually 46.
Okay.
And arguably, the designers might say, yeah, before you have your behaviors, don't even bother doing the markup because the behaviors might change it.
Totally. Okay, when can Anim start?
Animation can start after the rigging and skinning, rather. Sorry, they tend to like to have a character on the skeleton to see it.
Absolutely.
And then hit reactions can start. They're not really dependent upon each other. So all of these ones are kind of dependent on the same thing. So let's say, okay, so actually here's the thing. Locomotion can start once rigging begins. They don't like to do it, but they could.
Okay.
So let's say 15
well,
for that.
let's not cut corners on the schedule.
Okay.
I prefer to keep it real, keep it honest, do it when it's right, because that's what gets us in trouble. We get to the end of a schedule, and we're like, oh, we didn't do this. Or, I'm sorry, we get to that phase, and we got to go back.
No, that's true, and it costs them more time, actually, because if they did it without the skeletons, probably
but all these can start after skinning.
That's correct.
So this is why Steve walked in here, and I'm still looking at him and said these could be separate animators potentially. But we're going to pretend
he's just glaring.
We're going to pretend we only have one animator for this because there's a lot of work to do, right? And I want you guys to see what it does when you only have one who could technically start at the same time, but this person won't be able to.
Yeah, resourcing conflicts.
And the reviews happen during, but we're going to again act like it's at the end.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
So then the audio. That can begin right after the high-level review, the design review.
After the review, so 4?
Yeah, because they're just going to start to design the audio.
Sure.
And, I mean, maybe we could ask Steve. Steve, what would the audio for a space whale sound like? They can't hear him. They can't hear him, but it sounds
great.
Awesome.
You did it for us.
They can imagine.
All right, the creation process. Like. When does that start?
The actual data that they need to create, that's going to be at a different time. So the data needs the design, of course. So 36.
Okay.
And then
implementation. But are there any other dependencies? Do they need to see the animation? Do they actually need to see the thing, or are we saying after they design it, they can just get started?
I think after they design it, they can get started.
Great.
Implementation needs the data.
Okay.
So 37.
All right.
And then review.
Yeah. Okay, last few. We're almost done.
AI path. Sorry, we're on VFX stuff.
Yep.
They need the skeleton for this, so that's going to be 15. Yeah.
Skeleton, 15.
They need the skeleton to define the surface types. To create the effects, they need the surface type defined. But I guess they could start it earlier. I mean,
do some R&D on
create the actual effects.
Oh, they would probably do some R&D on this too. Again,
yeah, let's just say that once they do the surface types,
yep.
that's when they'll do it. Okay. And then implementation relies on the 42.
Okay.
And then 43.
All right, last few.
So AI pathfinding can begin right after high-level design brief, which is thank goodness, because that's going to be one of the longer ones. And the behaviors relies on the pathfinding.
Okay. And then the optimization.
The optimization, well, that's going to rely on the full implementation, actually. So it's kind of, let's put it for when the actual character is implemented and placed into the level. So that's implementation on tech design, so 23.
And then this one we said can start, where does it start? Bug fixing. Again, we'll do bug fixing depending per pipeline because we've got a lot of people already integrated, but where do we want to start it on our schedule here?
Let's start
also
testing
implementation,
it.
Same thing?
Yeah. Let's test it then. That's probably best.
All right. So we've got our resources, we've got our predecessors, we've got our bids, and we've got our tasks for this pod of space whales. These space whales have interiors. They have 0G. You can go inside them.
Yes. They have hit reactions.
So let's.
You can fire them. They have damage surface effects. So they don't need damage states because they use the damage surface effects.
Totally. So let's see. So we click here. We're going to go to our resources.
So this is called leveling.
Yeah, we're going to level our resources with these bids, those predetermined predecessors, and this specific set of resources. So when we level it, we're looking, if we start today, we will have it done and in your hands by August 16th, 2017.
That's a long time for a space whale.
That's for the space whale pods.
It's not just one.
That's true.
You get pods. You get to go inside them. It's safe. I'm saving a lot. You can't see my hand. Control
no,
F.
I saw
Right? And on the right here, this little matrix is showing us when each dependent can start based on their above dependency.
Space Whale at Gamescom confirmed.
Yeah, sure. Sure. That sounds good. But
Gamescom's early this year, isn't it?
But we started saying we wanted this in 3.0, and I don't think we said 3.0 is August 16th, if I think back to what our current set goals are. So if you guys wanted, and we're not going to do this now, if you wanted it in 3.0, what are we cutting out of this? What is not going into this space whale? What are we going down to? Because it sounds to me like an environment that you cannot interact with, that's just there, could be very simple.
Yeah.
And as you said before, it's August if all these people aren't doing anything today.
That's right.
Oh, that starts today. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
have nothing on their schedules for the next 3 months already.
That's right. And now this tech designer doesn't start until mid-May. You can't see me point at the screen. Mid-May. So that they could be on other tasks leading up to that date. But there it is. So
I think we have Chris Roberts in the chat. He's like, "You don't cut, you hire." No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
He doesn't say that.
So you go. Let's add it to our timeline. So this is the one y'all would see. This right here. This is what we set out in our current 3.0, right? You see things like this. So we make this a pretty color green, and then I screenshot it. And that's lovely Scott gentleman that you saw me call. He's the one that puts it there for us. So this is it. This is what you'd see, right? But that's clearly not everything that we took to get here, right?
Nope.
So we had another timeline, and this is what we actually have internally. I'm going to do it per task.
Oh, you've got it here. That's great.
Yeah. So these are the timeline. This is just the normal timeline
So we can
setting
see
in
what
Microsoft
we're going to
Project.
push to get it in.
No. This is no.
Or?
I don't have 3.0 in here. No.
Oh,
This is
okay.
just. So I'm going to show you guys. This is the next timeline we look at. We like to look at it per task, or if there's a feature owner for these things. This is what their schedule looks like, right? So this is now the next level, kind of what we showed in our end of year plan, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. It depends on what the feature is. Some of those are still at this level, but the next level after this. We still have another couple steps before we put this into production. The next one is we go to each individual team. That individual team, artist, developer, designer, breaks that task down further, could reduce it, could increase it. Then we roll that back up, and that will change our dates. And then we decide, we pull it into a meeting, go, here's what we have, here's the teams we have, here's what resources, what do we want to do? Is it August 16th sound good? Does that make sense? Does that not work for anyone? No. You clearly want it for 3.0. Okay. Well, then we got to go in here. We got to figure out what makes it for the first one, and then you have an option to do tiering. So you could do like you've seen on our schedule V1, V2. We do tiers because we couldn't do everything we want.
Yeah, you might want to. You went over it fast. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was confused about that too when I had first seen it. This V1, V2, V3 thing is actually a tiering. It's not necessarily a whole version of the feature that's getting refactored.
Sean, our tech content director, thought versioning like he should think of versioning.
Sure.
And versioning for this, there's many ways to do it in project management. Versioning, tiering, must-haves versus nice-to-haves. There's all kinds of words we use. But like a tier 1 is like, this is the initial implementation that gets some of the very simplest stuff we want, but it's not the end.
Yeah.
We're not done, and we're planning out the next 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. So we understand what can come in, and then we can pull features in. We pull this one up, we push that one out, and that's what ultimately gives us a schedule. And what I wanted to put up here is what you guys saw that we have up on our schedule, and that's some of what got us to this point.
And each one of those features has a whole breakdown like we've just done. Like that's the thing. This wasn't, we didn't put planetary tech.
Yep.
And then
Each
it was
one
just
of these
one
bars.
line.
Yep,
right?
that's right.
Is that thing we just did.
That's right. Each at all different levels, because some of these are per discipline. So like when you see one that's just networking, maybe just has their interdependencies. It doesn't include everything. And then there's sprint planning or feature planning or goal teams.
Right.
And they're going from start to finish across all teams. So this is trying to give you a semblance of, here's our targets per discipline, some per pipeline of what we're trying to achieve this year, and we'll put them in when they make sense. And
So
when
how
it's the best
big
we
is
can
their
do.
Space Whales bar? I mean, I'm just curious in
Where would it-
relation
where would
to
it
this.
lay?
Yeah. Like, is there dates at the top of that or no?
Yeah. So that would start
Okay,
here.
so we said,
and it would yeah.
So you guys can
start from-
visual. You
start
can't
from
see
here
me
to
doing
here.
it, I
I'm doing
guess.
it.
Like I was gonna go. Oh, it's this big.
That's right.
So let's look at one that's almost the same. GPU particles.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my goodness.
Sure. Or gas
Space
cloud.
Whale takes as long as GPU
or gas
particles,
cloud.
right?
But this would be the question. We'd look at this overall schedule and we would say some of these resources are on our banding merchantmen.
Ooh, let's push a merchantman.
Do you want to just
Yeah.
do you want to push the
Nobody
merchantmen out?
needs the merchantman.
Let's push the Carrick.
Let's
Let's
push
push the
the-
Carrick.
Oh,
push the
okay.
Carrick?
Push the carrot
Because
because
they're already
we'll
waiting
push it
so
up.
long
Because
as it
at
is.
that size, even though
Let's
it's
see
a
what happens
character,
to
we
the
might
chat.
want to benefit from the art team on the ship team. So we would have to pull those resources or hire more people. Or we push it out further, right? There are certain set limitations to project management. Everyone understands that. That's a basic thing.
Chat freaking
That's
exploded.
right. So you guys have to make the
figured.
call on what you want to push.
Don't push.
to
We
put,
need rail.
to put space whales in. Now it's not one-to-one because you saw there's several disciplines that go to making space whales, but those
Well,
will
let's see how
affect
this
it.
works out. Let's make the question. You're putting what to push for Space Whales? Good. Let's see.
Yeah. So should we push the Benny Merchantman or the
Don't just
Carrick?
lay ships for a
Yes.
whale.
You get to vote between Benny Merchantman
Totally right.
2019 or Carrick 2020.
But it's not really fair because pushing the ship team.
Yeah, I
it's
know.
not the ship team.
No,
working,
hold
it'd
up.
be
But that's what I'm
character team.
saying. Again, if we made a robot space whale, that definitely would.
Yeah.
But the size of that, we may need the resources to do this from a team that makes very large things and works in that capacity. Right? Our character team right now makes costumes and suits. They're all very talented, so I'm sure we can slip them in. They do just fine. But to that scale, we might look at this and go, I don't have the resources for that. They're all
Sure.
focused on outfits and costumes for the PU or for
Or maybe
Squadron
the
42.
implementation changes.
Yeah. Do we push out Squadron 42 to get in space whales? Because that's the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the kind of decisions and questions we're
Eric
daily
has that
reviewing.
tone sometimes when he asks you that. Do we push out this? It's a total rhetorical question. I love it. You go, well, Sean, do you want to push out the merchantman to get in the? Yeah, I love it. Because it makes me feel so bad to say yes.
And I only ask those questions because I want to
good.
make sure that we are thinking about it as a team. I personally, as a lover of this game and what we're making, don't want to push anything. I want it all, and I want it all now. That's truthfully. When
Yeah,
they said
and
I
they
want
do
this
too.
today, I do too. But that's not realistic, right? As we,
There will always be a finite number of resources. No matter how big we get, no matter how well we do, there will always be a finite number of resources.
right.
And something has to come after something
That's
else.
right. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. That's we're all constantly making those decisions, and that's obviously Chris making those final calls on what goes in and what goes where. And this is a very large discussion that we absolutely make sure our leadership team is a part of, and our project leader. There's a constant conversation because it's an iterative process.
What I would do to probably improve the timing, anyways, on this space whale, so we don't have to push so much, is tier that up, right, to a tier 0, tier 1 thing.
Totally.
And we tier up the exterior, interior. That's easily the two
Totally.
biggest saves
Totally.
that we could make. If we chop that interior, there's probably,
Totally.
probably a month of savings in there just to tear it up or something.
And if we
like this, right?
we'll get in that meeting. We'll look at what makes sense, what we absolutely have to, our must-haves.
Mm-hmm.
We'll break those features out, and then we'll say, here's what now the schedule gives us. Does that work for everybody? Yes, great. It's going in, and we can do it in a month or 2 months. Awesome. And then we'll slide those into tier 2. And we might find during the R&D phase we've saved some time. We've been able to pull some stuff out.
Yeah, sure,
But we
totally.
don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Did we find the supersized worm image?
It's in your Skype, I believe.
Oh, awesome.
great.
Oh, well,
Okay.
we
If
promised.
that's it.
We promised to show people.
Is that it?
That's the one.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, you could probably zoom in a tiny bit.
Yeah.
So that is 1,000 times 1,000 scale on the homestead planet. Space worm laying down on the planet. So,
I caught a
as
worm.
promised, there is the unknown unknowns, and this is the kind of stuff. And actually, I like it because you can see the space station there too that we fly past during the fly-in. So, and he's technically his pivot is placed in the right position. So that would be, I don't even know what kind of size that is. So 1,000 times 1,000, the space worm ended up being, I can't even remember how long it was, but it was pretty big.
Totally.
So it's huge. It's freaking massive. So that was hilarious, though, to load up the level and see that.
All right.
And he was animating it. Oh, he had no teeth at the time, though,
I think
so he wasn't very
I think we
scary.
go out with the space whale behind us. How's that
Sure.
look?
Yeah, we'll go with the.
What did I say?
the
Space
sandworm.
whale? Oh my
Sandworm.
gosh.
Hey, look what you
Sandworm.
made,
Ah,
everyone.
Excuse me.
Well,
There you
guys, that about does it for this episode of Happy
Yeah,
Hour
they're
Game
saying
Dev.
scrap the space one.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thanks for staying overtime with us. I hope you thought this was worth it. Eric, thank you so much for
Yeah.
letting me convince you to do it.
That's all right, no worries.
Sean, thank you so much for
You're
letting Eric
welcome.
convince
It
you
was
to
fun.
do it.
It was more fun than I expected. Actually,
Yeah.
we had a good time with it. I'm glad the community was
I hope you guys enjoyed
was
it too.
as involved
totally.
because that made it a lot more
Well,
fun.
and that's also very realistic to what we're doing. You guys are very important to us in every decision that we make. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for Sean Tracy, Eric Davis, and Steve 2 Days Bender, I'm Jared Huckaby. We'll see you next week, everybody.